Hello and welcome to another tutorial in the beginner's guide to custom art. In this tutorial I will go through graphics and the importance of being consistent when making the graphic for your game or whatever project you're working on. And if my voice sounds a bit weird, it's because I've been sick. It's nothing serious, it's just a little cold, so it's fine. Or the cold, if that's what it's called. When making a character, and this is of course a beginner's guide, and you don't feel comfortable on drawing anything in general, don't be afraid of drawing a character looking this simple. It would be very easy for you to draw many of these, and it would be very easy for you to draw a tile set that would work with it. And nothing is set in stone, so you could always enhance it later and add more and more details. When making a prototype for a game, this sort of character would do very well. And just a good tip is to make sure that the character look the same on both sides, because as you just saw, the foot that I made for him, I had to make smaller because the character didn't look symmetric when on both sides when I tried to place it. So then I just deleted some of the pixels and copied the foot with Control C. Well, first you just mark it with the square tool. Click Control C and then Control V to paste it. Then use the tool option when you right click it and click flip, and then the square tool again to just move it back where it should be. And as you just saw, I did that with the entire body itself. I took the half of the body that I did like, and I did the same method. And now he looks completely symmetric on both sides, and that is something professional pixel artists is very fond of. So you should aim for doing that. It doesn't really matter if you make a character that doesn't look symmetric. It's just a nitpick thing. I don't know what you call that, but yeah. And as you can probably tell, making clothing and face or whatever for a character looking this basic and simple is very easy. And for you to make, if this was your template, for you to make many of these, have many different NPCs or main characters or whatever, wouldn't take you much effort or time. Now I'm trying to make the exact same character as I did in episode 1, only in bad graphics. So you can use like 3 colors, well 4 colors in total: brown for belt and shoes, and blue for pants, red for sweater. Yeah, well, it's more colors: black for eyes and mouth, and skin color, and then hair color, right? So it's easy to work with. And this guy would look okay. He's maybe a bit small because the collision for every character you use in RPG Maker, at least, the edges of the grid is the collision. So you've probably played a game, or even with the RTP, and you move towards a tree, and then the character stops before he had physically touched the tree. It's because the grid of the character is touching the tree. So if you want to make a character that has a perfect collision, making him this small, that would not work. Then you would have to make a character that's completely filling the entire grid. But if you use a plugin like pixel movement plugins, I know there are some for RPG Maker MV, there should be for MSET, I'm not sure. The character would be the collision and not the grid, so, and you would be able to move very fluidly, so I would recommend checking that out. So there are no definitive answer to what size your character should be, so feel free to make whatever you feel works. Like the RTP main character have a really big head. Some people would have a problem with that, because they sort of look like a huge baby, in a weird way. They don't look like normal standard adult characters. Well, typical sprites that we are used to here in the West. So when making the shape, just start making a simple pixel character like I'm making here, and then from there add all the details. If you want him to be bigger with longer feet, do that, and then first of all just work out the silhouette. How big should the head be? How big should arm? There are no rules. There are no definitive answer to this. It's subjective. So find out what you like and what you feel looks good, or you can ask around: is the head too big? Is the body too big? In a forum, or ask your friends. But when starting to make the silhouette for your template, main template for your game, experiment around, make several, check out which one works best. Like this one, to me, has maybe been eating too much junk food. I don't know. And we should maybe make him smaller. Then just copy this with the square tool, a section of him. Then click delete, and then paste it again, and then just move it in until you feel it looks good enough. I would recommend you just try out several sort of silhouettes. Just make them this simple in the beginning, and when you find a shape, try to make it symmetric. It's a good habit to adapt, and just try and find what sort of shape your character should be, and stick to that. And use the Frankenstein method. It's not a name for it's a made up name, by the way. Use the Frankenstein method I used in episode 1, and just copy and paste parts of him until you find a symmetric and nice shape. I know that he's still looking a bit weird, but that's something we can change later with the copy and paste Frankenstein method, or just deleting parts of him and drawing them again. So just start off trying to make something sort of looking like this, and just try to follow me on this one. And when placing the arm right now, you should try to make sure that it's the same height and exactly the same as it looks on the left side. So one way to do that is using the square tool, and just drag it from the left arm to the right arm and see if it's the same height. If not, just Control C and try again. Okay? Or you can just copy the left side and then delete the character, paste the left side again, paste another time, and then just flip the new one and just place it, and then voila, it should be symmetric. So once we have the silhouette, sort of, it's still shabby, I know, but once you have the silhouette, then start drawing on. Well, you should keep a copy of the silhouette without any of the clothing or whatever, so you can use him as a template. But then just start to add all of the details to him. First, just use one color when you do this. So one color for the shoes, one color for the pants, one color for the sweater, one color for the skin, etc. Delete these pixels. Like this, I think the pants looks better now. It's still a shabby looking thing, I know, but just delete her. Now it's thinner. These arms look a bit weird, but we will get to that perhaps. And then just draw his entire set of clothing. Make a belt. Oopsie doopsie. But still, stay with just one color each item. Well, now I added an extra detail to the belt, but you know, don't make... I will show you soon what I mean by this. Then continue filling in more of the details. I would I would recommend using different shades of green for the sweater than the pants, or different shade of green from the sweater to the hat, etc. Use the bucket tool, just fill this in. Maybe you can see what character I'm trying to draw here already. Now I just copied this part and I moved it 1 pixel down because I felt his neck was too tall. And if you're making your own silhouette right now, you don't need to do that if you like the one you had. Yeah, you see when I made like this little open area for his sweater, I made sure that it was symmetric. And if you're doing the same, try to keep it symmetric. I can't remember what color he had on his arms. I think it was some sort of orange. I'm not sure. You still have a bit like weird monkey arms, but that's fine. We're keeping it basic, okay? I don't want to scare you off by making some insane, good-looking, almost 3D-looking fancy sprites, so bear with me. And not that I'm able to, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to make a point over here. So, now I'm deleting pixels with the square tool. So I'm marking the pixel I want to delete, and then I'm clicking delete. To try and find a nice shape for his hands. I like the one on the left the most, so I made a copy of that, and I paste it, and I flip it, and voila, it's symmetric hands. So try and do that yourself. And now we have to add lighter colors on the left side and darker colors on the right side. So use the color picker tool. You can just click O and then click on the color you're working with, and then change the shade to a bit lighter one, and then just add that on the last pixel on the left side. And for the dark side, it's the same, only darker color and on the right side. And you can already see, just by adding that little detail, it adds an extra dimension to the character. And that's the interesting thing about working with pixel art. Very few details can make a huge difference. And you will see this once we continue adding the lighter shade on the last left pixel and the darker shade on the last right pixel. Okay? Try and follow with me now. And you need to do this on everything. So, even the hands, even the arms, even the heads, and even the shoes. You could even do it on a belt, I guess. So you can really tell only by looking at the hand now that it looks not 3D or anything, but it looks like it have an extra dimension. And all of that happened with me adding a different shade of the color on the last pixel to the left and a darker shade to the right. And that shows you how much each pixel matters when making pixel art. So okay, just do this now. Try and look exactly how I'm doing it. And just do it the same way yourself. We are, of course, just making a basic character in this tutorial. So you can try and imagine how much each pixel would have worked on, for instance, the Donkey Kong character. Removing some of those pixels one by one, you would slowly see the character looking less and less detailed. And you wouldn't even have to remove that many to see a huge difference. Well, not remove, but making the pixels the same color from one another. And now for the eyes, this character have a basic graphic, so you won't need more than 2 colors for the eyes. One as the main color, and the second as the lighter shade on the top left. And it needs to be on the same top left on both eyes. So that's easy, then you can just make a copy and just move it. And now his eyes are way too far from each other. So just regret that and just move it slightly to the left. And then move the left eye slightly to the right. And the one eye now is bigger than the other, so just copy a bit of his skin, paste it. There you go, and the eyes are the same shape. You could of course just use the pencil there as well, so do it whatever way you like. Add a nose, just one color. It should be just a different shade of the color his skin is. And the same goes for the mouth, and the mouth needs to be a different color, just a dark color, than the nose again. And I know he's not symmetric, his face at least, but that has to do with the shape of the head. So yeah, stuff happens. But we're making it basic here, so you know. And the other stuff I added there are supposed to be the chins. You could also use a lighter shade of pink and put them under, well, maybe like 2 pixels under his eyes, and make pink chins. Looks good sometimes. Maybe even just 1 pixel, I'm not sure. You have to try out and check for yourself. This is something you gotta do on your own. And in episode 1 we made more details to the hair. It is sort of important that we don't in this episode, because it would look weird if his hair had good graphics, but the rest of him did not. And I will show you very soon what I mean by this. And you can probably tell what character I'm trying to make here. I know this one is far better looking than the original one, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's Link. You could even make an export of him now and just keep him as the raw original. You don't have to, but you could. So if you want to make changes later, you can go back to the raw one and try again. But what you need to do now is make 2 copies of him, like we did in episode 1. So we have 3 frames for facing down, and the ones on the other sides should be 1 pixel lower than the one in the middle, to give him that sweet breathing effect. I just noticed that I needed to add some eyebrows to him. So yeah, once it's done, make 2 copies, 1 on each side. I'm just gonna check if this worked. No, it looks too angry and grumpy, so let's remove that. Okay, so let's make 2 copies of him. It is very important that you place them on the exact same spot as the main one. Well, all of them should be in the middle, but they also need to be on the same exact spot. And one way to check if they are is to look on the small little gray squares you can see in the background. So you can see that his left foot is now on the same darker one. There are of course many darker squares, but try and make sure that he's on the exact one. If you're not doing this, let's say he's 2 pixels to the right on one of the images, he would then have a little jump to that direction in his animation, and I will show you exactly how that looks like later. So make sure that he's positioned exactly the same. And now, as I said just back now, make sure that the copies on the left and right are 1 pixel shorter. This will give him the nice breathing effect for his idle animation. This is not his walking animations. In a later episode I will show you how you make idle, walking, dashing, etc. So that your character can animate more. And this you have to do with a plugin, and I will show you how that works. Add a nice cartoon filter or whatever effect to him to make him look even better. And now I will show you the best part of making simple graphics or simple characters, because your game needs to be consistent. That meaning that everything graphically inside of the game should look as if it belongs to the same world or game. And making a tree for a character looking like this is rather simple. You could just, I didn't spend more than a couple of seconds making this, and it's already semi-good enough. Add a few details, like I'm doing here. And you would also have to use maybe the cartoon filter afterwards, since you did that with the character, to try and add a little contrast to the colors, a little bit more of the details. But the tree already would have worked. Maybe a little more details. You could also add a lighter shade on the left side and the dark shade on the right side. You would also have to do this with the green part of the tree, but I don't bother to do that now. But you can do that. I don't have to. I'm just teaching you. And with the cartoon filter, we can already see that it's making a little difference. And when you find something that is sort of like this, the tree is good enough. You could try and add more details to the green part of the tree, of course. The Link character actually have a bit more details now, so I would actually try and make it just a little bit more detailed, not a lot. And for making the grass in a game looking like this is very chill and very easy. It's done. That's all you would have needed to do. You could add a little like pixels here and there of a different shade of green, but you don't have to. This would work just fine, and I will show you why very soon. But first of all, I want to teach you a neat little trick. I would only do this on objects. I would never use this method on characters, because there are plugins that works better for that. Take the opacity down on a bucket to around 10 or 11. Then choose a black color and the square tool to mark where the shadow should be, like I'm doing here. Add the shadow, and look here, you can see the tree now have a shadow. The shadow will also need to be inside of the grid, so make sure to make room for it by moving the tree up. And just to show you an example, you can see that this could have been a game, you know? And the characters and the environment look as if they belong together. Now I'm just adding a shadow to the main character just to give you a better idea of how the game maybe would have looked like. So when you're making basic characters, you can make basic environment. If you had made a fancy character, you could not have made a basic environment. You could also not make one good graphic character and the rest bad looking, because unless you made a very distinct weird sort of game where you met a character from a different game or something weird like that, then you could, but if not, nope. And here you can probably see what I mean. The Donkey Kong characters do not fit the Super Mario NES world at all. So that's what I'm meaning when I'm saying keep the graphic consistent. So a big nope to this. This is going really slow. This is almost breaking my GIMP. Hopefully you understood what I meant here, because this is important, very much so. So with another example, if I use these Donkey Kong sprites, these are not my own, these are just edits I did from the Donkey Kong ones. This does not fit the world we just created at all. They look very out of place, and they should, if you wanted to add these characters, you would have to make them look far more basic. Also, do not use copyrighted sprites in your game. So if you can find a free sprite or something and it's a Donkey Kong or Mario character or Sonic or whatever, do not use it. You are not allowed to. So create your own and don't take art from the internet. That is important. Don't do it, please. Unless, of course, it's free material, because there are many sites where you can get a hold of free material that you can just scale down and do edits on and use in your game. So that's okay. I've done that myself before, just silhouettes, etc. And then draw in my own sprite on top of that silhouette. So you can find free silhouettes. I prefer to just draw everything from scratch. So just try and do that. Most often when I don't, it's just for a placeholder. So I'm just drawing something quick and then I'm using a free silhouette. So try to avoid that. And while I was just talking, I was drawing a rock. And hopefully you notice how I drew it. I only used the circle tool to add the different shades of color, and then I used the black color and the low opacity for the bucket to make the shadow. And in this weird game, I made this just to show you a game where graphic fits. Like this little star kid that you're controlling works very well with the trees. There are some objects there that he don't work well with, and now it's up to you to find which one that is. And if you look carefully on this character, he is jumping to the left, and that is what happens if you don't position the image correctly in each of the 3 frames. That was what I was talking about earlier. So you need to make each image in each frame be positioned exactly the same, or else this happens, you know. So hopefully you now made your own graphic, or you just drew the same stuff that I was drawing, but still that's step 1, and you might have learned some of the tricks on how to make a character from scratch. I know that I only make them in one direction in these videos, but in the animation one that I will come to maybe next, or the one after that, because it's 5 episodes in total, I will show you how to make every direction for this exact character we drew today, so you can learn how that is done. I will also, as I said earlier, show you how to make better movement and animations with plugins, so you can make a better looking game. But as you probably notice, maybe it seems hard, but the more you do this, the easier it will get each time. So hopefully you are now feeling a bit more comfortable on doing this on your own and experimenting, because it only seemed hard in the beginning, and gradually it's like, oh, was it that easy? Oh, I didn't know I could do it like that. And then eventually you will end up feeling very comfortable on drawing stuff. So hopefully these videos are pushing you in the right direction on you making the graphic yourself. I'm uploading all of the art that I'm making in this series on our Discord channel. I will leave a link in the description for the Discord channel and for every other important stuff you need in this video, like for instance GIMP 2. And you can just join and download the art and then leave again, that's fine. But all of the art will be put on the free art channel on our Discord channel. The Discord channel is meant for A Broken Tale, and that's the game we are making. The music in the background is made by Haakon Davidsen, the Great. Hopefully this video wasn't confusing, and hopefully I will see you again in the next episodes. There will be 2 more episodes, and thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and have a good one, guys. Have a good one.